Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
Ryan Little.
Japan.
Okay, all right. Let's do this. What's going on, folks? What's going on? What is going on? Yes, I am back. I am here. I am healthy. I'm at 100%. Yes, I took off last week, folks. I took off a week off the show unexpectedly, because you know why? I caught COVID for the first time since this thing first came out. I caught COVID. Man, I was, it wasn't seriously bad, folks. It wasn't seriously bad. I got some symptoms. I was feeling a little sluggish. I had a backache, headaches from time to time. Sinuses was messed up for some reason. And yeah, man, I did not know that's what it was. And all of a sudden I woke up with in a cold sweat. And again, I didn't think it was nothing. I just threw the sweater. I was like, why am I sweating? And the AC was on. And I was like, you know what? Let me just, throw on another shirt. Didn't think too much of it. And then my wife was like, she picked up the shirt. She was like, why is your shirt wet? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, yeah, I think you should take a test. I went ahead and took a test, and it came back positive. Then went to the clinic, just to, make sure whatever, the rabbit that I took at home was what it was. And yeah, sure enough, yes, it was. I got the COVID, and I was out. I had to isolate. I'd stay in a room. I don't know what was worse, either the symptoms or being stuck in four walls. Oh my God, it was. Let me tell you something. When you got nothing in your hand, there's but so many movies you can watch. I couldn't really, I don't have a laptop anymore because I traded my Mac laptop for an iMac. So I'm not, I'm not as mobile as I was several years ago. So, I'm pretty much stuck. I was just, sitting in a room, watching movies, reading articles, and just not being able to do nothing. And you'll be surprised. Matter of fact, I don't even think you'll be surprised. I think everybody knows that you can only watch movies but so much, and you just get tired of it, and you just want to get out and be free. And I was stuck. I had to isolate. So that's why I couldn't get a show in for you guys. But I'm here now. I'm feeling better. Of course, I tested, and I'm feeling good, and I still gotta wear a mask when I go outside, which I do. Just for another additional 5 days of what the CDC says, just to make sure that the what do you call it? The viral load is down to a minimum, or totally, it has totally evacuated my system. So yeah, man. But the downside of it is the fam took the test, and it's messed up. My nephew came down with it, man. He was totally convinced that he was impervious to any outside virus that could potentially invade his body. And sure enough, he got back his test, and he managed to see his face. He was like, what? I mean, he's good. He's not suffering any serious symptoms. He just has to isolate himself, and that's what he's doing his thing. So I'm free and free as a bird. And then now we change places, and now my nephew's kind of isolated right now. So it is what it is. He's gonna be all right. Yeah. So I'm here. A lot of things have been going on. Everybody knows. So I guess I'll get right to the show and move right along to what is happening in the world. So my name is Nova Phoenix. I'm your host on GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio. And we're going to get started with the first order of business. As everybody knows, the officers that killed Breonna Taylor has been federally charged by the DOJ. J. Everybody knows that's a former Detective Joshua James, former, I think, current Detective Kelly Goodlett, Sergeant Kyle Meany, and ex-Detective Brett Hankinson. I think Hankinson, yeah. So the first three have been charged filing a false affidavit to search the homes, and Hankinson has been charged with willfully using unconstitutional excessive force, because it comes to find out that he fired his weapon on the side of the house through a covered window and glass. There's a covered window and glass door, so you know that was totally reckless on their side. It's wild when you really uncover what was going on with the story. The level and to the degree of not even corruption, but that's not the word I want to use, but for lack of a better word, evil. Everything that they did, to the lengths that they did to cover things up, to switch up the story, and to find out that one of the Hankinsons shot through a covered window and glass door, not knowing who cares who he can hit. He's just shooting. So yeah, man. So they've been charged by the DOJ, and we're going to see how these things come about. And the wild thing about it, the Taylor's family alleged in court documents that was filed in Jefferson Circuit Court Sunday, they're saying that the police squad named it's called Place-Based Investigations deliberately misled narcotics detectives to target the home on Elliott Street. And in order to go after violent crimes and drug rings. So they're saying that this is some sort of they use these detectives that were going after violent crimes and drug rings to actually evict people out of these homes in Elliott Avenue as a means of kind of like jump-starting gentrification in the area. So yeah, that's crazy, man. And they were saying it was speeding up the city's multi-million-dollar efforts by the Vision Russell Development Plan to further gentrify that neighborhood that Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend was in. So of course the city denies it in that area. So we don't know. We have to further, uncover, let the story unfold as it should as they do their investigation. So that's interesting. That was interesting. But yeah, it was about time. It's way, 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 way beyond the time necessary for us to seek out justice for Breonna Taylor. It's wild because it kind of reminds me of the situation similar that was happening in New York. They did something similar. They did, not as far as using cops, but you think in 2022 that, with so many eyes and cameras and recording devices and all these things that, the city would be a little bit more, okay, well, we can't get away with that thing. Well, let's just go by the letter of the law. And if we got to claim houses, we're going to claim houses. No. They're still doing dirt. Yes, they are. Similar to what happened in NYC. They were illegally evicting black homeowners out of gentrifying areas, or in the process of these areas are in the process of gentrification, because the value was going up. Now let me tell you, as far as Bed-Stuy was a historically black neighborhood for many decades, and it's always was the neighborhood that people wanted to move in as they were climbing the social ladder. People would buy brownstones, beautiful brownstones in Bedford-Stuyvesant, and it was coming up to the point where a lot of these same races that actually hold office in New York City, they started to pay attention. All of a sudden they were calling Bed-Stuy the new neighborhood to move into. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Where was this? It was always here. And black folk was always here taking care of their brownstones. But then the city was getting slick. It was actually started way back in the 90s by Rudy Giuliani. They were seizing property based on unpaid utility bills or abandonment. And based on that, they would try to evict these homeowners and take their homes. And they actually called this program third-party transfer program. We have a couple of individuals, black homeowners, that are actually suing the city. One of them is Shariva, I think her is Sherlevia Thomas Murchison. She was one of the homeowners. She's one of three that's actually putting together a class action suit against the New York City and its partnering developers, that they're doing these underhanded, slick things to try to get homeowners out. They're saying there were about 700, if I'm correct, 700 black homeowners that were losing their homes. But of course, by this slick ways that the NYC is doing with this third-party transfer program, there was a lot of black homeowners that were missing out and losing equity and losing their wealth. Of course, as we all know, the black wealth gap is very large, or the racial wealth gap. I would say instead that there is very large between black homeowners, or black Americans, and white Americans. And of course, this was a way to try to take away that opportunity for black Americans to build their wealth through the homes that that has been passed down from previous generations till now. So they did this slick program in order to take people's homes, because Bed-Stuy, and I think it's also Crown Heights too as well. And of course, because all of Brooklyn and all the boroughs are pretty much getting gentrified, and these neighborhoods are being handpicked for these new developments. Of course, it doesn't really help African Americans that's been there for decades, for generations. They're doing the same old slick business they've been doing for centuries, but this time it's under slick laws, and the representatives of the lady, I'm sure Thomas Murchison, actually the representatives, they were saying, the legal representatives saying, well, it may have started out with good intentions, because there was a lot of homes that were kind of falling apart, and because they were unpaid, I know debts, as I said, utility bills and all these other things. And, it looked like they were being semi-abandoned, and it was bringing down the value of the neighborhood. And they were trying to start this in order to shift the ownership of these buildings into other hands, and whatever, man. I'm not going for that, especially what we know of Rudy Giuliani today. It's the cat is out the bag on how he gets down. But people were trying to be slick and be like, oh, Mayor Giuliani's just trying to do things to improve whatever. Whenever laws are made, I always have to think, how is this going to negatively affect black folk? Because whenever laws are made to improve the quality of life, or to do something to take away crime or improve the neighborhood, I always think, how can this negatively affect black people? Because here's a prime example. When COVID-19, when COVID went down, and they were telling people to wear masks and gloves and all this, and I mentioned this on the show before. It was a simple thing as people going around, the cops or whoever was going around to make sure people were wearing their masks and their gloves or whatever like that. And again, when you went to the white neighborhoods like in Dumbo, Brooklyn, or Brooklyn Heights, or whatever, all those white folks were treated with white gloves, and they were like, oh, okay, we're just trying to pass out masks because it's important that we do this to protect the people, blah, blah, blah. It was all cool for them. But you saw the video of how the cops were treating the black folk in the black neighborhood. They was treating cats like they was moving weight. Like, yo, dude, just give masks. Why are you trying to, there was a dude that was jumped all over the black dude because he didn't have a mask on. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Where it's something where it's supposed to bring people together because everyone was getting affected, and we're just trying to protect the health of the city. Of course, you see in this situation where it's two different worlds that's created, and how it's treated when COVID was happening in the white neighborhoods as opposed to what was happening in black neighborhoods. So just on COVID alone, you see the difference in treatment. So when this was happening, of course, what you hear with Breonna Taylor, I am not surprised that it has some sort of connection to gentrification, the speed of the process of gentrification, because it reminded me of what was going on in New York City. Of course, that didn't involve any cops, but they use this as what people said, some harmless law to improve the neighborhood, and here it was used to try to take away the wealth of black homeowners in Bed-Stuy. Madness. So check this out, what was going on in Macomb, Mississippi. This is crazy. So I saw a video came out the other day where this brother by the name of Eugene Lewis, it was some video where this brother was handcuffed, and it was this police officer that was manhandling this dude, tossing him around. Like, if this guy did, of course, why did this guy get pulled over? A traffic stop. Of course, it's always a traffic stop. So the video starts where the dude is just handcuffed and the cop is just running up on him like straight up. Yo, all you have to do if this dude did something wrong, you just grab him by the wrist and you just put him in the back of the squad car and you handle your investigation, dude. Nah, this guy was tossing him around, handcuffed, throwing him in the grass, and it was actually videotaped by two dudes. It turned out to be his brothers. I don't know how his brothers got in the vicinity of what was going on, but they were taping it, and this dude was throwing him in the grass. It looked like some like third secondary side street or something in Macomb, Mississippi, MCCOMB, Mississippi. And I'm like, and the cops was just going off doing what he was doing. And eventually when he threw that dude in the car, this dude, Eugene Lewis, he went up, of course, after the dudes that was taping. It was like, yo, we're taping live, you know, you're not gonna get away with this. It's the same thing that happened to George Floyd, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you know, this video got out and it started making its spins on social media. It started making its spins on social media. I saw it on Twitter and it's getting hundreds of thousands of views because, you know, of course, myself, I just got tired of it. I saw the video. I actually called down there. In Macomb, Mississippi, and I was speaking to, at first I thought it was like, you know, I looked for the police department in Mississippi, but actually it was a state trooper. It was a state trooper, Mississippi state trooper that was handling this dude crazily. And I actually called down there and I was speaking to the person, and I'm just like going off trying to figure out who the cop was and, you know, what was going on with the brother Eugene Lewis. And actually, people, if you want to call yourself and you want to get on it as well and challenge this same thing, fucking racism that we got to deal with all the time, regardless of from what state and what county you in, you are welcome to call. I encourage everyone to call. The number is 601-515-1989 and the extension is 9. Now, I also encourage people to use star 67. Block the number. You ain't got to tell them that wherever you calling from, they got to see where you calling from. Just block it. Put star 67, then dial 601-515-1989 extension 9, and you can call Master Sergeant. I believe his name is Luke Harrington. Either Harrington or Harrington, I'm not so sure, but that's the Master Sergeant. That's the man, I guess, that's in charge within that particular department at the state trooper. So I encourage people to call. Actually, the process has been going through it because I was looking at it, and the brothers they put out a message thanking everyone for supporting, because this video is going like wildfire, as you know, when it comes to police brutality. And it's actually gotten to the Macomb mayor, and he was actually contacting one of the representatives. I actually called the Capitol building down there, Mississippi Capitol building, and I left a message for I forgot his name. Let me see if I could capture it. It's a representative of that area. His name is let me see if it's in the article, because the representative down in Macomb. So Macomb Mayor Cordelia, this brother is the black mayor, that is. The Macomb mayor is Cordelia Lockley, and he watched it several times, and he was trying to get in touch with the representative because it was a state issue and not a city issue. But, you know, at the same time, the mayor can actually have, you know, I mean, I guess he did make a statement online. He says, quote, "I know that many of you, like myself, have viewed the video. I'm alarmed as well as disturbed over it. I ask that you allow the investigation to be completed, but at the same time, let your voices be heard." And I got in touch with, let me see, the state representative. Let's see, this guy's name is State Representative. Let me see, Mississippi. Let me see, Eugene Lewis. Let me see if this guy, it's the representative of the area, because the mayor was actually asking people or asking this particular representative to basically spearhead the investigation or to see what was going on, because it was a state issue. Eugene Lewis starting. Let me see, accountability. And I forgot this damn. Mississippi representative. Let me see if I could just take off this here. Mississippi. I forgot the representative's name. I cannot find it. But Internal Affairs. Now they're actually getting Internal Affairs and the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation to investigate the situation. So they're on it. But the representative, because it's important that people call the representative, and his name is Darrell Porter. So I called the Capitol building and left a message for Representative Darrell Porter that represents that particular area in Macomb, Mississippi, to make sure that the elected officials down there do their job. Now, the situation is being handled, right? But I wanted to make a call just to let people know that that the world is watching, and me from New York City is looking at what's going on, and I wanted to say my piece just to show that the world is looking. Every state, hundreds of thousands of people have already put their eyes on this video, and I'm hoping that hundreds of thousands of people right along with me would flood those phone lines over there at the State Trooper building and let people know that this racist bullshit can't continue. So, the woman was asking my name. I was like, I don't have to get my name. I want to know who's in charge there, and these officers got to get fired, and the whole department got to get cleared out, and blah, 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 blah. And she was like, oh, why are you screaming at me? I don't think you need to scream. I'm like, I'm saying my piece. I don't give a goddamn. I was laying it down. So, I encourage everybody to call, man. Because it's important. It's important that they know that we are all watching, and that we're not going to take this sort of injustice as how black men are treated in this country. So I encourage everybody to call. Rewind this show to that part where you can pick up that number, and let me see if I can post that as well and let people know, and you can call as well. But you can Google it too. All the information is on there. Now the funny thing is, it's also connected. Again, it's another cop story. Now, of course, we're dealing with, everybody knows that Biden was getting the business with the 94 crime bill, and how he kind of was the architect of putting together the language for the 94 crime bill. And he was, the pressure was put on Biden at the time. They were saying, what are you going to do about it? You started the 94 crime bill. Generations got locked up, and he apologized. So I think he apologized. But again, you just don't apologize in a situation like that. You put something together that's going to rectify the problem, put a solution to the problem, get people out of jail or whatever the case, in order to, if you're truly sorry about this bill that you put together back in 1994. But it seems like we haven't learned. Nobody's learned, because it turns out that there's going to be another bill put forth, and I don't know the details, but I'm going to look at it. So, and I'd say this is a connecting story, and all of this, I didn't put this, these stories just came together because I'm watching it, I'm seeing it happen on social media, and they're all interrelated, and they're actually having in this part of this bill to fund to have 100,000 more cops to be put in various police departments across America. And this is the problem, because you have in Macomb, Mississippi, where you have this wild ass suspected white supremacist cop that was hamming up this brother down there in some back street, back road in Mississippi. And now all of a sudden you got Biden that's trying to support another bill that's going to put 100,000 more cops in police departments, which is only going to put more racist cops in these police departments. These are how these things are connected. But what I will do, I'm going to find this bill that's online. I'm going to read through it, and I'm going to, same way that I called Macomb, Mississippi, I'm going to call my representatives right here and let them know that this is it's not a good look as far as African Americans here, and not just in New York City, but in states around the United States of America. It's important that we put them on blast that this won't continue. Let's let this slide by, because we know what's going to happen. And it's so funny that this dude was talking about the 94 crime bill, was saying all this him and Han and Sarin, and then now we're doing the same thing with another crime bill of 2022. So have your voices heard, man. Call your council members, call your mayor, call your state assembly person, call your senator, and let them know how you feel about this new bill that's coming together. Let your voices be heard. Email, do whatever is important. You voted these people in. You at the same time have to let them know that you're not going for certain bullshit that's happening in in your respective neighborhoods. So I'm gonna do my due diligence, and I'm gonna read this thing, and I'm gonna make my calls and let people know what's going on. So all of these things are interconnected, from Breonna Taylor that got killed by these 4 racist cops back, and they were trying to cover it up. Now the DOJ finally got charges put on them, to this brother in Macomb, Mississippi, Eugene Lewis, to now having this President Biden trying to shuffle through this bill that's going to put more racist cops into these police departments, and how you're building in structural racism and how this continues from one generation to the next. So it's important that we take the bull by its balls and handle this. So yeah, it's crazy, man. So this my chair is all squeaking. My bad. I'm thinking, why my chair is squeaking in. So as far as some things that are happening in Congress, that's some good things, and I'm sure it's going to pick apart. I haven't read the bill, but according to Reuters.com, the U.S. Senate passed a sweeping $430 billion bill to intend to fight climate change, lower drug costs, and raise corporate taxes this past Sunday. Now, allegedly, they're saying they were battling over the weekend with Republicans, and they were trying to derail the package, but the Senate finally approved it. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act, and it was actually passed by 51-50 party line vote, with Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, casting the tie-breaking vote. Now, it's funny. Now, I'm wondering, this have anything to do with Mark Cuban and his website that actually is called costplusdrugs.com, that was selling drugs at heavily affordable prices. Now, I know that's going around all of a sudden now, of course, the Republicans in the Senate not going down with it. So I'm not even speaking to just black folk here. I'm speaking to even white folks across America, to let you know, why do you continue to vote against your own interests? And Republicans were voting against this in the Senate. Now, it's funny how the Republicans that you voted in are literally trying to have you make a decision where you can have insulin, your scheduled insulin shots, versus having food to buy for your family, because they're saying it costs like $2,000 for insulin, and of course they're trying to bring it to a cap. The cap didn't work. They got it taken out the bill. They're trying to affordable to be, I think, $35, but it's $2,000. Your insulin is $2,000. Let's see, insulin price bill here. Let's see. So they're saying the Senate Republicans blocked the $35 cap on the price of insulin from the bill. I don't understand why you guys, don't take my word for it. All of this is recorded. You can go online. You can find out who voted for what Democrats voted for, what Republicans voted for. Just to let you know, I'm not either side. I just look at it like a tennis game, and seeing this ball getting knocked from one side to the other, and you see the number. You see it's all in the numbers. It's all recorded. Republicans are voting against you having affordable medicine in order to treat your own ailments, and you have to make a choice. Why you guys keep voting? I'm speaking to the white Republicans out there in Mississippi, in Kentucky, in Texas, in Florida, in all the southern states, breadbasket America, Midwest. Like, why do you continuously vote against your own interests? You see it play this day. I'm not taking either side. Like I said, I'm not even a Democrat. I'm just saying, look at what's happening here. But you keep voting for them because they keep on giving you that rigmarole, brown and black and all these people, and then they're taking your jobs, blah, 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 blah. And you guys fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Put that bullshit aside. What is your elected official doing for you to improve your life? If they're not hitting the basic minimums, why do you keep voting them in? That's all I want to know. I'm asking that serious question. Now, there's another article they putting together. Another thing, let's say, is a good thing. so far as what Congress is doing. According to the extremetech.com, the CHIPS Act, CHIPS, that was passed both in the House and the Senate. It passed 243-187 in the House, and this will provide $52 billion to bolster U.S. silicon manufacturing efforts, as well as giving billions in tax credits to companies. $39 billion will be for U.S. firms to build, expand, or modernize. $2 billion specifically for mature semiconductors, and an additional $11 billion earmarked for public-private partnerships with the National Semiconductor Technology Center. Good things. That's a good thing. I can say that is a beautiful thing, because right now what's happening in the auto industry, they cannot sell any cars. They cannot manufacture any more cars because the chips that were being manufactured by I think the companies from Taiwan. There's one chip company that provides all the chips for all the car manufacturers that gets released in America, and it ties the hands of the business industry, the car retail market. I don't understand why America was allowing only one chip company to produce that chip, and it literally brought the car industry to a screeching halt. And it's only rising prices. The cars, they're bringing it away. It's like $15,000-$20,000 above the sticker price. Madness. So hopefully they learn from this, of course, and they did with this CHIPS Act. Hopefully this money is going to be allocated in the right places, where America can manufacture their own chips, so we don't have this situation happen again in this, marking up cars $15,000-$20,000. That's crazy. Especially when I was shopping for my car, they were talking about the only cars we got to sell is the one that's on the floor, and I'm like, wow, that's nuts. So I as far as the effects or how that's going to turn around, and then I don't know when this is going to start kind of having a change, probably in the next, 6 months, 8 months, a year. So hopefully this brings down the prices of cars to a reasonable price for everybody to get the cars that they need. So I can say that. I'll give an applause for that this was passed. It happens to human beings. You got to bring them to the precipice. You got to hit them in the pockets. You got to really seriously hit them across the head for human beings to kind of deviate from the path and do something that's beneficial for the people. So I give that to them, the CHIPS Act. Lolo Jones, man. Lolo Jones, folks. Oh, man, I've talked about Lolo Jones before, and you're going to be like, Nova, why are you all up in her drawers? Why are you all up in her panties? And I'm not, because she's making her information public about her personal journey as far as trying to find a husband, and now she is freezing her eggs. She was distraught on social media, crying because of the fact that she cannot find a husband. Of course, everybody knows she is a virgin, and she's sticking to her religious beliefs. I don't know what religious faith she follows, but she is saying that she's saving herself for marriage, but she is 40 years old now, and she's running out of time. And so she says on her IG, she's running out of time, so she's going to freeze her eggs. I wish I could talk to Lolo Jones. I seriously wish there could be like a one-on-one. Now, am I here to convince someone? Look, your religious beliefs are your religious beliefs, all right? You can't change that. You're Catholic, you're Christian, you're Baptist, you're Lutheran, you're Seventh-day Adventist, there's so many different faiths, so many different sects, so many different belief systems. I'm like, okay, in a world where we know every inch of land, every gallon of water on this planet, we've gone to the deepest depths of the oceans. We've mapped out everything we know what humans do. We know, other animal life, biology. We pretty much got a handle of human beings on this planet, on this big rock that's hurtling through space, right? And we know the various faiths that human beings follow. And, some things we agree with and some things we don't agree with. I think certain beliefs within a particular belief system can be old and archaic. and it goes back 1,000 years, doesn't mean if it goes back 1,000 years it's necessarily bad, but it really depends. So Lolo Jones wants to save herself for marriage. How has that worked out for her? Here she is, and I'm not laughing at her situation. For me, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm more laughing at the absurdity of it all, that these decisions are made for one individual to save themselves because, you know, their mother and father taught them that they should, it's the right thing to do. And I don't know what list Lolo Jones has, but she says that she's talked to a number of different guys, have had relationships with a few of them, and it either ended abruptly or it lasted as long as it could. But for some reason, it never works out. So sometimes I wonder if this thing is almost like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, Rapunzel, these fairy tales that we believe in that does not allow for people to live their lives. To the point where she's 40 years old and for some reason she can't find the right guy. Now, she said actually that she's dated some guys that, you know, followed her faith or something similar. So she gave it a try. And I guess those are the ones that lasted longer. But for some reason, they don't work out. So when is it too late? When do you start asking yourselves, maybe I have created some sort of list that is unrealistic, or I'm holding to a certain rule that I've been taught since I was young that's keeping me from living my full-blown, lovely, beautiful, best life? So how long is she gonna wait? Another 10 years till she's 50? 55? Come on now it's starting to get crazy. 60? Oh, she can't find nobody yet. 50? Look, I'm 45. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm 45, man. Now that ain't necessarily old, but I lived some years, man. I experienced it all. I'm just saying, at what point do you say to yourself, wait a second, maybe I'm taking this too far. Maybe I need to put certain rules behind me in order to live and let things organically happen. Someone in her congregation, a priest, a pastor, a reverend, someone got to do something with a white collar and sit this woman down and say, hey, you know, Lolo, maybe, you know, we'll give this one a pass. I'm saying, because this is crazy. You gonna wait till your joint is all old and shriveled up and shooting powder. I'm saying, like, come on. You're missing the beautiful experience of being a mother, of being a wife, of being someone that's gonna hold something and you can create life. I mean, what is exactly that's not really matching up or aligning in the guys that she's trying to find? Now she's crying and going through these painful IVF shots that she has to prep for, shooting it right into her midsection, and she's like distraught and crying, and she's just like, man, it's crazy. She's just all lost in the sauce. And I just, like I said, I'm not here to knock anybody's religion or whatever is what you believe, but sometimes it comes to a head. You're gonna cross that bridge, get to that bridge, and you're gonna have to cross it when it comes to living your life as a human being. And there's just gonna be a certain time where it may be bordering on the ridiculous that you are depriving yourself of these beautiful experiences that we humans have on this planet while we're living on this earth in their physical form. Like, I wish someone would sit her down and tell her, like, hey, wait a second. You're already 40. You're going to blink your eyes and you're going to be 45. You're going to blink your eyes and you're going to be 45. You're going to blink your eyes, you're going to be 50. And that's when it's going to be crazy. All because you're looking for some knight in shining armor. You know what I mean? And like in some Disney movie, and you're missing life. And that, to me, my personal feeling, and that is a problem with religion. That is a problem with these with these religious organizations that want to impress these certain rules and guidelines and force and restrict and constrict people into these small boxes that if they step out of it, somehow they're committing a sin to Jesus Christ. But to some man that possibly lived 2,000 years ago. That's to me the absurdity of it. And I don't understand how, the mind is strong, man. The mind is, it can be weak, but the human mind can also be extremely strong in the ways we kind of force ourselves into these situations and we deprive ourselves of living this lives. It's something that this is what we're here for, to procreate. We're here to enjoy sex and all those things, but also to procreate. And now she's going through this thing where she has to freeze her eggs. So I wish I could talk to Lolo Jones. I feel sorry for her, man. It's crazy, man. The other thing that's crazy is what's going on in Hollywood. So there's this movie coming out, Alina of Cuba, and you got James Franco. Everybody knows James Franco. He's more famously known in, I guess you could say, in the Planet of the Apes movies. He played the scientist at the beginning that was raising Caesar. He was also in Pineapple Express. I forgot the name of the actor's name. That was a good movie. And of course, he's also famously known for the F-boy business he's doing in Hollywood in real life, doing his grooming. But yeah, anyway, the fact is, they're doing a movie called Alina of Cuba, and it's focusing on Fidel Castro's daughter. And he's going to play Fidel Castro. Of course, John Leguizamo, everybody knows, the Latino actor that he's been in so many theater plays and movies is ridiculous. John Leguizamo actually had a problem with it. He's like, he ain't Latino. How are we doing this in 2022 still? Yo, that's mad as I support John Leguizamo because I'm like, wait a second. Wait, we doing this? Really? I was reading the story. I'm like, really? James, you mean there's no Cuban, there's absolutely no Latino actor that can play Fidel Castro? No, absolutely none. You telling me there's absolutely no representation, nobody can do this job except James Franco? And the producer actually was doing, he said some sort of corny response. To me, it was a bunch of psychobabble, and he was trying to turn it back on John Leguizamo, saying, oh, he doesn't understand that we have this cast, this person's an actress, this actor. He's throwing out Latino names or, Spanish actors. And, he said some craziness. I had to reread it like 3 times. I'm like, what he said? He was trying to invert and turn it inside out and trying to throw the words back to John Leguizamo to make him feel bad. I'm like, nah, bro, I ain't going for that damn psychobabble, that babble talk. Nah, man. James Franco, yeah, he shouldn't be forget it because Fidel Castro is a huge historical figure that were back in the 60s and the 50s, and what he did to trying to bring freedom to the peoples of Cuba. And of course, that's going to be a debatable thing because some people see Fidel Castro as an evil dictator. Other people see him as a freedom fighter. But that's not what I'm here for, to discuss. What I'm here to discuss is how the hell are we still doing this in 2022? I mean, nah, man. Nah, I'm with John Leguizamo all the way, man. James Franco, I'm sorry. You should be able, if someone came to you with that role, you should have, respectfully bowed out and said, you know what, I ain't for the role. I'm not gonna front. You do look like Fidel, but still, have somebody else play goddamn Fidel Castro. John Leguizamo, I'm with you, bro, all the way. Again, everybody knows at this time what's going on with Hollywood. HBO Max and Discovery merger. Of course, they did it. That Scooby-Doo movie, Scoob Holiday Hunt, that was canceled. And Batgirl, that was canceled. Everybody knows at this point. And, I'm with it, man. It's been a long time coming. Everybody's been chiming. Everybody and their grandmother saying, why is DC, why is Warner Brothers effed up? Because Marvel is straight up railroading. I mean, literally taking an oversized excavator dump truck and rolling back and forth over every attempt that Warner Brothers trying to make to make movies that's somehow similar to what Marvel's doing. Kevin Feige is Yo, he is laughing his ass off every time Warner Brothers try to do something. But now finally the CEO of Discovery, what's his name, David Zaslav, is after this merger is straight up put the movies on a chopping block. Cut. I feel bad for the directors. It was two directors from the middle, from the, I think the Middle East or something like that. I don't know where they're from, but yeah, they actually was directed the Batgirl. The movie was done. It was finished. I mean, not like in they weren't discussing the script. They were trying. This movie was done in the bag. They were at the tail end of post, and David Zaslav put that joint on a chopping block. He was like, nah, that movie ain't coming out. that's the dead deal. Hey, we'll give her a new deal, new movie, but nah, that movie ain't. So he wants to focus on quality over quantity. But they're still behind Black Adam, of course, with The Rock. They're still behind Aquaman. He's saying they're still behind even The Flash. I'm like, y'all behind The Flash? Like, okay, you can say you behind the Flash movie, but Ezra Miller gotta go, man. He is toxic beyond toxic. This man is literally tanking the whole Flash movie, and I'm surprised that there wasn't a statement put out saying, yeah, we're just gonna drop this movie, but we're gonna part our ways with Ezra Miller. I mean, there's so much junk. Everybody knows at this point. I'm just, one of the producers said, oh, we're all good with the Flash. I'm like, all good? I mean, everybody? I don't know about that, but they're still going to drop that movie. I don't know what's going on with Henry Cavill. I think he is the perfect actor to play Superman, but I'm also willing to push that aside through this merger. They're planning to do the same thing similar like Kevin Feige and Marvel doing a 10-year look ahead, and they want to have these movies interconnected with a shared storyline. And I don't know if they're talking about Black Adam could be the Iron Man of DC, the central character that's going to sprout out all these other stories. I don't know. I think it's possible. I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I love Dwayne Johnson, what he does. I love the trailer of Black Adam. I think it's perfect, but we'll see what's happening. They're going to merge HBO Max streaming service with Discovery too as well. We're going to call it a whole nother name, and it's going to be released in 2023 in the United States, and that's beautiful. That's great. Who cares? I don't care what they call it. They're gonna mash up the library and the original movies into one. But David Zaslav wants to actually go to releasing movies in the theater. He's kind of walking back what the prior executives were saying by releasing them simultaneously in the theaters and on the streaming service. He wants to do just strictly movies. I understand why he wants to squeeze out every red cent out of the movies that they make, because if they're going to be focusing on quality and going to somehow in a lot of ways mirror what Marvel is doing, they want to squeeze every red cent out of these movies by coming out in the theater. I'm not too big on that, because I don't listen. I said this before, even when I watched Grace Randolph. Everybody knows her. Grace Randolph is a movie reviewer. Every time she does movie math and it goes to the second week, there's always a 50+ drop in movie tickets in the second week. Majority of movies, and they're trying to say, well, maybe this particular individual movie just wasn't a movie that's going to do well in the second weekend, third weekend. But no, that's literally happening with all the movies. You know why? Because people are probably hacking them, jailbreaking their devices if they're still doing that, watching movies online, streaming it with crystal clear clarity. Why are you going to go see a movie in the theaters when you could go home and see it on your home entertainment system? This is a new day. The cat is out the bag. The genie is out the bottle. As I said before, look, I went to the theater a couple of times. I forgot what it was. And the theater, they're mostly empty. Nobody's going through the trouble of sitting in theaters anymore, unless it's like a big blockbuster film. Like, yeah, I'm going to see that in the theater. Yes, they'll do that, like they did for Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, Thor: Love and Thunder was trash. I'm sorry, Tycho. That's what it is, man. That movie was trash. But yeah, they'll go see Thor: Love and Thunder. But they're not going to see anything beyond that. People are going to see it at home. So I think it's going to be interesting how this is going to turn out for this merger with HBO Max and Discovery, and just focusing on releasing them in theaters, because I think that's a dead end. I think, like he said, he's going to release it in theaters, then put out the POV, releasing it if you want to buy the digital copy or the physical copy, and then I guess later on the streaming. I think that's a bad idea. I think there should be somewhere where you can release it in theaters and also short time release it with. It may not be the blockbuster films a simultaneous release, but at least most of your films can have a simultaneous release in theaters and with digital streaming. Netflix is not going anywhere. Disney is not going anywhere. Amazon is not going anywhere. There's a lot of great movies that I will not get rid of my subscription for, because they just have these movies that are original on the platform, and it's great. I think it's a bad move. I personally don't think it's going to work with what David Zasloff is doing. But we'll see what's going to go on. People ain't going to the theaters, my guy. If it's if you think it's a blockbuster film, and the producers, the directors, the executive producers all think that is a blockbuster film and people are just going to come out and see it, wrong. People ain't going to come out and see it. All right. They're going to wait for their friends to go see it. They're going to wait for Grace Randolph and all the other famous movie reviewers to say, hey, what you think about this movie? And they're going on what they say. They are not listening to Rotten Tomatoes. They're not listening to the reviews. They're not listening to press junkets and their favorite. As much as they may love their actors and actresses, their favorite act, it has nothing to do with the film. If it's trash, they're not going to see it. Okay. They're not going to see it. So they're going to listen to their favorite movie reviewer on YouTube, and they're going to go by their word. Either it's going to be trash and they're going to wait for it to come out on streaming, and they'll wait, trust me, or they'll just jailbreak it, or they're going to be like, oh, I knew that movie was dope. I'm going to go ahead and see it. So we'll see how this things pans out. All right, guys, I think I talked enough. I think I got this under an hour. I went through this quick. I thought it was actually going to be longer, but I guess not. Anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on and talking about all these things that are dear and near and dear to my heart. And I got a couple of interviews that's going to be coming close in the future. One particular woman that, she is hardcore Black American. This whole movement with FBA and ADOS and anything like that. I was in the Twitter space, and she's actually not FBA or ADOS. It's another sect. It's another spinoff. I Black Freedmen or whatever. And it's the same thing. And the funny thing is, she had some interesting sayings about words to say about Tariq Nasheed, and she was kind of like blowing up some of these hardcore FBA minions. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I want to get into that story. I think it's great. I think it's gonna be a video interview, and you can go to my YouTube channel. You can check it out there, and some other interviews that I'm working on. But yeah, I appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuning in. And sorry about being off. It's been a little choppy as of late, but I'm here and I'm with you guys. So I'm out of here. Thank you for listening, and I am Ghost.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.